Welcome back to another tier list ranking. Today we're going to rank the Star Trek The Next Generation main characters or recurring characters. And on this list we have Picard, LaForge, Yar, Lore, Q, Wesley, Hugh, Crusher, Troy. We got Vaj, we have Loxana Troy, we have the Traveler, we have Riker, we have Sonia Gomez, we have Dr. Noonien Soong, we have Guinan, we have Data, we have Worf, Barclay, Spot, Miles O'Brien, we have Alexander, we have the hologram version of Dr. James Moriarty, we have Dr. Catherine Pulaski from Season 2, we have Keiko O'Brien, and then we have Lal. So yeah, pretty short list, but these are characters that are either main cast or vital to main characters' stories. So yeah, let's start with number one, Captain Picard. He's going to go in S tier. I love Captain Picard. I think he has a great arc over the show, and it continues into the movies, and then eventually Picard, although it's a little bumpy in the Picard show, it rounds about in a great way in the end with his son and the Borg. It works well. But he goes from a guy who doesn't like children, kind of cold, to a guy who does anything to save his son. And it's just a beautiful arc. So I love Captain Picard. He's my favorite captain, and he's going to be in S tier. Next, we have Tasha Yar. I'm going to put Tasha Yar in C tier. Now, I like Tasha Yar. Don't get me wrong. But we didn't get enough of her. She's certainly not a bad character. It's unfortunate that she died the way she did because she had a terrible death in Skin of Evil. It was just not good. I wish we got more of her. I'm happy that we did see her daughter in later episodes. And Yesterday's Enterprise was a great way to bring her back. I really love that episode. And I'm sad that we didn't get more of her because she was a great character. Denise Crosby did a great job. So she's going to go in C tier just from the fact that she was only in one season. All right, next we are going to do Lore. I'm going to put Lore in B. I like Lore. I think he's a cool villain. He's a little, he needs more character, more personality, because he's kind of just evil Data. But, I don't know, he has a kind of cool way, not an arc necessarily, but the way he shows up in the show is pretty interesting, and I like his final episode, Descent. I think that's a great two-parter. Yeah, he's a solid villain. He's not the best. He's certainly not the best villain in the show, but I'm going to put him in B. Alright, next we're going to do Wesley Crusher. I'm also going to put Wesley Crusher in B. I think he's overhated. I think he's certainly not a bad character. If you saw him in Season 1, yeah, I could see why you don't like him. Season 2 even, maybe. He was shown as this, kid who could never go wrong. But as the seasons go on in Season 3 and 4, and then his final episode with the Traveler, he's an interesting character that develops a little bit. He's certainly not a great character, but he's not a bad character. He certainly gets out of that male Mary Sue type of mentality, where it's like this kid can do nothing wrong, and he doesn't earn anything. He's just like this kid who can magically know how to fly a ship. I get that criticism for sure, but as the series goes on, he redeems himself a lot. So that's why he's going to be B tier. If it was just Season 1, Season 2, maybe I'd put it in C or D, but I'm going to put him in B for the moment. All right, next up is Hugh. Hugh will also be in C. Definitely don't dislike Hugh. I think he's a fine character, but I don't know why he's on this list because he's only in one episode. No, I take that back. He's in 3. He's in Hugh, and he's in Descent Part 1, Part 2, and then he shows up again in Picard Season 1, Rest in Peace. I do like Hugh as a character, but given the fact that he's not a main character, he's not going to rank very high. Next up, we're going to do Dr. Crusher. I'm going to put Dr. Crusher in A tier. I like Dr. Crusher a lot. I hate when she left in Season 2. I think she gets better as the show goes on. I do think that sometimes she's not played she doesn't have much to do. But that's also all the females in the show, right? Like Deanna Troy. But I think she's a strong character for the most part. I enjoy her. I like her as the show goes on. And I love her episode Remember Me from season 4. That's probably the best Beverly episode there is. So Beverly Crusher, A tier. Next we're going to do Vaj. She will also go in C tier. I don't think she's a bad character, but she's hardly in the show. And that's why I don't know why she's on this list, other than that she's kind of part of Picard's arc. But yes, I mean, like, I think she's a fine character. I like the Robin Hood episode. I cannot think of what's called off the top of my head. But I like her. I like that she shows up in Deep Space Nine. However, we're going to put her in C just for the fact, just like Hugh, that she's hardly in the show. Next up, we're going to put James Moriarty. Now, this is a character that doesn't show up a lot in the show, but when he does show up in the show, it's awesome. And I love those 2 episodes, Elementary Dear Data and Ship in a Bottle. Those are great episodes. I love that he kind of comes back in Picard Season 3 in a twist. Yeah, this whole tier list ranking, spoiler alert for Picard Season 3, by the way. Sorry, I've already spoiled it. But really enjoy this character, Dr. James Moriarty. And yeah, even though he's only in 2 episodes, I think he gets A tier just because he's a great foil to the Enterprise. But he's not. You have to watch the episodes. Up next, we're going to Alexander. I think he's whiny. He's a kid, and it's hard to play a kid. That's why Wesley Cluster got a lot of hate at first too. I just don't like the character. I never really, I don't know, just not for me. Next up, we're going to do Lal. She will go in C as well, just for the fact that she's only 1 episode. It's a great episode, The Offspring. I like that episode a lot. However, it's just, it sets up some plot points for Picard Season 1, but by the fact that she's only in 1 episode of the show, I cannot rank her higher than C. Up next is Lwaxana Troi. She's going in C. I don't care for her at all. I think there are a couple episodes with her that are interesting. Like Half a Life is really interesting. But as a character herself, I find her really annoying. That's the point, I get it. But for me, I just don't like her. Yeah, that's all there is to it. We're gonna do Sonia Gomez next. I'm gonna put her in C as well. She's hardly in any episodes too. And she's kind of quirky. I don't care for her. That's why she's on the far end of the C here. She's not a terrible character. She's not like poorly acted or poorly written, I guess. So she's not gonna go in D. She's not awful, but she's not great. And so I'm gonna put her in C. Keiko O'Brien. We'll put her in C as well, just because she's kind of a bland character. I don't dislike her, but for me personally, most of the episodes she's in are not that interesting to me. Alright, up next we have Spot. Spot's going in B tier. The gender-changing cat who suddenly becomes a female towards the end of the show. I like Spot. I like the episodes with Spot. I love when Worf has to take care of Spot. It's so funny. Spot's fine. Spot's a good character for being a cat, I guess. Next up is The Traveler. I'm going to put him in B tier as well. I love all the episodes with The Traveler. I think he's a cool, mysterious character from Tau Alpha C. This, like, really hard to understand, kind of up in the air figure. But the episodes he's in are so good. So, yeah, B tier. Alright, next up is Dr. Noonien Soong. I'm going to put him in C as well. I like the episodes he's in. I love Brothers. It's a good one. But there's not a lot of substance to him. You don't see a whole lot of him. The idea of the character does set up a lot. but it's more the idea of the character that makes impacts on the show than actual appearances of Dr. Nguyen Soong. I do like Brent Spiner's acting for sure, and C tier doesn't mean I hate any of these portrayals or any of these characters. It's just they're not that important to the show, and I don't have a strong attachment to them. All right, next up we're going to do Miles O'Brien. I will put Miles in C tier, but higher C tier. I like Miles. He shines a lot more in Deep Space Nine than he ever does in The Next Generation, but I like that he's a carryover. I think he's greatly acted by Colm Meaney, but it's just, I don't know, he's not really like super important to the show. He never was, and he is in Deep Space Nine. He's a great character in Deep Space Nine, but for Next Generation, he's just solid. He's nothing special. So he's going to go in C tier. Next, we're going to do Dr. Pulaski. I'm going to put her at the very far end of C. I don't care for Dr. Pulaski at all. I don't like that she treats Data like a thing instead of a person. I view Data completely as a person, as someone with a soul. Data is just as much human as the rest of the crew, in my opinion. And so, Dr. Pulaski is kind of rude on that. She is just not as entertaining as Dr. Crusher. She's not as interesting of a character to me. I know they were trying to just do Bones and female version for her, but you should have set that up in the first season. You already gave us a season with Dr. Crusher and hinted at past with Picard. So you took that away, and it just didn't work. And I can't think of any episodes she's in that she like makes a big impact. There's a few that are centered around medicine, like the one where trying to be like the up aging thing where they all get old really quickly, just like the original series episode. But I just don't think they did. I don't like her. So yeah. All right, up next is Reginald Barclay. He's gonna go in B. He is a mess, but he's funny. And so for that reason, I'm gonna put him in B. He shows up just enough to make more of an impact on the show than the rest of the characters on the bottom. Aside from Dr. Pulaski, but I just don't like Dr. Pulaski. So yeah, he's an interesting guy. I like that he shows up later in Voyager. I like that he kind of continues to have a role in the Star Trek universe. Now we get to the bread and butter, basically the rest of the cast that are recurring or make a big impact to the show. I'm going to say Guinan. We'll do Guinan next, and I'm going to put her in B as well. She is a solid character. Again, she's kind of mysterious. Don't know a lot about her. However, I don't know. I enjoy all the episodes with Guinan. I like her in Q Who. I like her in Yesterday's Enterprise. I'm not necessarily a big fan of Whoopi Goldberg as a person, but I really do like Guinan, and I like that she shows up in Generations. I like that she's kind of this like mysterious, like somewhat romantic figure for Picard, but somewhat like motherly too. It's kind of interesting. I like their dynamic. Next up we have Troy. I'm going to put Troy in B as well. That might be controversial. She's integral to the show, but a lot of the episodes she's in I don't care for. And like the episodes that she's the star of, I take that back, because she's in a lot of episodes that are great, of course, because she's a main cast member, but a lot of episodes that are centered around her are not very good, like The Child. It's not good. There are some that are interesting and some that are good, but I don't know. I never liked her compared to Tasha and Beverly, really, to be honest. But she does get ranked higher than Tasha due to her longevity. She does get better towards the end of the show, and I like how they use her in the movies, and I like how they use her in Picard. Although she loses her accent in Picard, which is just so weird. I guess after 20 years, she forgot how to do her accent. That's nitpicking. She's going to go in B tier. Still solid, but just not my favorite. I never have been like a huge Troy fan. All right, next we're going to do Q. Q's going to go up near upper A. Q's a great character. I love Q. I think he's really interesting. I love the episode Tapestry so much. That one's probably my favorite episode of his. Or All Good Things, of course. I love All Good Things. But he's a very fascinating character. There are a couple episodes that are a little hit or miss for it. Cupid, that's what it was called, Cupid. It's good, it's solid, but it's like, it's kind of not really important. Or like Hide and Q from first season. That one's horrendous. It's not a good episode at all. And if you don't remember that one, it's where Will gets the Q powers. It's just not good. But he's in more good episodes than bad, and so I'm going to put him in A tier. Next up, we have Worf. Worf will go in A tier. Worf's a solid guy, good character. I like Worf. He's not my favorite. He never has been. But sometimes there are he's in funny moments, like in Deja Q, where Q goes, "Very clever, Worf. Eating good books lately?" Like, there's a lot of funny things with Worf, but not always because of what he says. I do love when he goes, I do like what he says in The Survivors from season 3, where he goes, "Nice house, good tea." So he has a lot of funny one-liners. But overall, not my favorite Star Trek character. But I don't dislike him at all. Up next, we have Will Riker. Will Riker is going to go in top of A. I like Will Riker a lot. I think sometimes he kind of gets a back seat compared to Picard, but there are plenty of good Riker-centric episodes, like Frame of Mind or Future Imperfect, that he does I like Will Riker a lot, and I really love Jonathan Frakes as an actor and as a director. So yeah, Will Riker is good. I've always liked his character, and I love. I've always liked him. All right, up next are my probably two favorite TNG characters, and so they're both going to go in S tier. First is Commander Geordi LaForge. Commander or Lieutenant? He's a captain in Voyager, so, he's been all three, I guess. I love LaForge. I think he's a great character. A little two-dimensional. He could use more depth. He is kind of a loner in some ways, and he's a little creepy in Galaxy's Child and The Booby Trap with Leah Brahms. That's a kind of weird situation. But I've always liked Geordi LaForge. I don't know. Something about him resonates with me. I've always liked him. But at number 1, my favorite TNG character is Lieutenant Commander Data. Data is the best character in the show. And I don't know, I just always have loved Data. And all the Data-centric episodes are so good. Data is the heart of the show, and he's a great character. And so that's why he's going to be in S tier. And so that's my ranking of all these TNG characters.